interesting because this signing new budget used to give me joy or some feeling of self assurance or self confidence. I don't want to be surrounded by, let's say, copies of my brain or people that think the same way. That's why I think diversity always sparks very interesting conversation and ideas. So I think AI is a great tool as long as it remains a tool. It's not
Yeah.
a co-founder.
Hello, Alexandra.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome to 50 Lunches.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How should I be pronouncing your name? Is it Alexandra? Should I use Ola?
I think let's go for Ola. That is shorter.
Ola's going to be super confusing to everyone here in Spain.
Yeah, I think if I would have a 1 cent for every time someone said, "Oh, it's like hello in Spanish," I would be millionaire by now.
All right, so my joke is not original. Thanks for confirming that.
Or also in Portugal, it's even without H, so it's exactly same spelling.
Okay. You are also in Southern Europe, right?
Yes, I'm calling from Italy today, which is currently my base. Central Italy, close to Rome. Let's say Rome.
I am super curious about your story, actually, because you are geographically diverse. How's that?
I think you can say that. Citizen of
All
the
right. So
world a little bit.
So I did some research before our call. So I'll give a quick introduction to the people who don't know you yet, and then I am super curious just to kind of double click and dig into your story and your journey. All right. So for the ones who don't know, Alexandra is from Ukraine, and stop me if I'm wrong on any of this. Right? You have an
Correct, correct.
MBA from Germany.
No, I have a
No.
master from Germany, but my MBA is from US.
Okay. Master from Germany, MBA from the US. You've founded several companies.
Mm-hmm.
I have App Trust, which is a digital agency.
Yep.
I have Apptastic. What is Apptastic?
Very similar, also digital marketing.
Okay, cool. And then you've gone kind of into communities with Taste Remote, with Nesting Away.
Yes, that's exactly
Okay,
correct.
we're definitely going to dig into that. And I also realized that we have some sort of an overlap because I'm starting a coaching business
Oh,
and I'm helping people midlife kind of professionals who have been successful or trying to figure out what's next in life. And you're helping first time founders as a kind of business coach.
yes, exactly. Okay, I see
Okay.
the overlap because that's also a big change when people start their own company.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's been a significant change. And we can get back to my story later because I'm going to ask you for some advice.
Okay.
But let's start with you because I'm curious. Like reading your CV or your introduction, you're all over the place. Let's ask this question instead. In your words, Ola, who are you?
It's a good question. I think
Thank you.
someone that just tries to live their best life with no regrets. So that's also brought me to different countries and also brought me to different industries and brought me to some pivots in life. As you were saying, like I'm from Ukraine, then my 20s I mostly spent in Germany, where my entrepreneur journey started, and I entered the startup world, was there for a little bit. Then I also had a burnout, switched to more community oriented industries, and that's where I am now, and that's where I find myself now. Couple of countries later, I'm in Italy.
Okay. Nice. So, a lot to dig into there. The first thing I really resonate with is you said to live your best life with no regrets.
Yes,
What
I
does that
think that's
mean?
if I imagine myself uh, being old and about to die, I want to look back on my life and be like proud of myself, I would say, and not be one of those people why I didn't move to that country or why I didn't take that leap of faith and try to build something of my own. So I don't want to think like this. I would rather be like, I did that risky move. Maybe it didn't play out, but what did I learn there? That was still fun experience. So I
Hmm.
think no regrets for me, meaning being a little bit brave and trying these things that pop up in my head from time to time.
Have you always been this way? Or is this something that's changed throughout your life?
I think that changed a lot. Definitely, I was pushed by my parents to move to Germany when I was younger. because initially I moved for my master, and I guess that was kind of my mom's vision of my life to send me abroad. Because of course, like in Ukraine, we have this image that moving abroad means better life and better opportunities, which I guess kind of played out right in my case. And so I wouldn't say that was necessarily I was brave back then. I was rather like, okay, I have support of my family. I can try this out and I can always come back if this doesn't work out. But since then, I think slowly, slowly, I build it up as a skill.
Hmm. How was that the first time leaving Ukraine, moving to Germany?
Mm, So my brother decided he's gonna bring me by car. That was like his move, big brother move to help me.
Hmm.
And it took us more than 2 days driving. When I remember, I've been crying the whole way.
Oh no.
Um, but mostly because my last year living in Ukraine when I was doing my bachelor was so full of events and great friendships. Like that was, like this kind of early 20s, everything felt so big and meaningful in life, all these friendships that, okay, I found my people for the rest of my life and now I have to leave them because even this 2 year master in Germany, which was the plan, felt like an eternity, at that time. It's like trying to live my amazing, perfect life back in Ukraine. But then it was actually super exciting. Like I was never regretting. I was never like once I was there in Germany, I also met a lot of amazing people, actually people that I'm friends even now. Other people I met probably at the first week of my uni. So that was an adjustment. Also first time living abroad. So a lot of things to adjust to, switching to another language. Like luckily my master's was in English because my German was not really good. So but still like starting to live life in English, that's a change as well.
Eventually, you decided to make the move to Italy. Why Italy?
Because of my partner. So I met my future already present husband in Madeira. And for some time, like I thought we're gonna spend some time in Italy, but then one thing led to another, and we started a co-living here and some other businesses. So we made this small town our base when we are in Europe. And so right now, I maybe we spend a little bit more than half a year here, and the rest we travel.
Cool. I'm going to get to the business side of things soon, but first I want to talk a little about life design. So
Okay.
you seem to be a person that has made choices in your life to build the life that you want. What does it mean to you to have a good life?
Mm, I think I'm overall a simple person. So, good life for me, if I have to define it, would be slow morning. Definitely very important part of good life in my definition. No rushing, no running somewhere in the morning, just enjoying my time. I have like my, let's say, specific morning routines that I can maintain in every part of the world. So I like to do them with no rush. Another definition of good life for me is definitely being surrounded by people that are inspiring for me. So I someone that I can talk with and be like, oh wow, what an interesting point of view. Or
Hmm.
basically not I don't want to be surrounded by, let's say, copies of my brain or people that think the same way. That's why I think like diversity is always something that sparks very interesting conversation and ideas. Another part I would say is good food, and I guess that's also part of the reason why I'm in Italy. I'm super into food and having access to good ingredients and being in country where food is like valued a lot and there are this long lunches together. That's definitely part of good life. I would say last, maybe not last, one of points is to have access to movement and exercising, whatever sport it is. I can see definitely how it keeps my brain in a good shape as well as my mental health. It's like being able to exercise. Me personally, I like yoga and gym and tennis. So these are my current priorities in terms of sport, but it can be anything as long as it's accessible. And the last is living by the beach, which is funny because I'm not living by the beach at the moment, but usually the
Hmm.
whole winter I spend mainly in Southeast Asia by the beach. So I would say these are the components which are not hard to achieve, I believe, but our brain tricks us that we need more than this.
Hmm. Your brain thinks we need more than this. Where does that come from?
What I noticed by moving to a smaller town and also by spending winters in Southeast Asia, we need way less than what we think when we live in bigger towns. So
Hmm.
my 20s, I spent between Kiev and Berlin. And both cities are, I wouldn't say super materialistic, but still in the cities, you are like become chasing more than you actually need just because that's how like society is around you, and maybe as long as you'll try in the beginning not to think about it, then somehow your perception of slowly start changing, maybe without you fully understanding. Yeah.
Is that realization that big cities, materialistic, smaller places, the ability to travel, you don't need so much? Is that also representative in kind of your business journey?
Yes, definitely. I think that's probably something that also comes a little bit with the age, I have to say. Because, of course, when I was like building my startup, I was in my 20s. There was always like next big thing, next big thing, next client signed, next
Mm.
budget approved, whatever it is, whatever they represent in like movies about startup life, it's all kind of true that you're like always chasing. I don't know what's like you're always chasing, you're always chaotic, like always. I remember even having like once I would have in my 20s with my friends that would work in the same industry was always like, yeah, I have a client dinner that's finished like at 2 a.m. Then at 8 a.m. I already was on my first meeting because I had a call with like team in Asia. So it was like always this hustler culture, like always running, always doing things. Now I'm like, I don't want this anymore. I feel like I find so much more joy when I can have a morning for myself, then have more quality time with my friends where we can discuss not only work, which is nice to be excited about your work. Don't get me wrong. I really appreciate it too. But also, like, how about different ideas that are not only work related, or ideas how people also organize their lives, because once you start traveling, you see how differently people live from you and how many things you can learn from them as well.
I think I have a very similar realization. Like, I have the typical background management consultant, build a bunch of startups, right? Went off, did CXO roles in remote companies. And about a year ago, I decided to quit everything.
Okay.
So, quit my job, rented out my apartment, bought a camper van, traveled first
Oh,
around
nice.
Europe, Spain, Portugal, went up to Switzerland, just with my journal and my guitar, and just like taking off all of those identities, right? Trying to figure out who am I under all of that. And then I went to Southeast Asia, just like you. Traveled around for 3 months, and I just returned in January, trying to think of,
Nice.
okay, what do I want to do next time I grow up? And I kind of come to this conclusion that I think work life or life in general maybe has multiple phases. So I think you have that hustle phase. Like maybe you're new to what you're doing, everything is exciting, it's cool to work hard, right?
Yes.
And that promotion is important, and that next paycheck is important, and that ego and that identity is important. But then I think at some point you get to that realization that, is this it? Like, is this why I've been working so hard? There's got to be more. And for me, that second phase is more about taking what I've learned, those experiences and those skills, and figuring out how can I give back. And that's kind of the phase that I'm starting now. So very different tempo. I'm not looking for the hockey stick. I'm not looking to become the next billionaire, but I am looking to live a meaningful life where I get to focus on the things that I truly enjoy and the things that I'm naturally good at, and contributing to something bigger than myself.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. I think that's the part where how I feel the change started is that we started doing with my partner, we started doing first retreats for digital nomads. So that
Hmm.
was first like community thing. And then I could feel how people are inspired and empowered after a retreat. After, I don't know if we were lucky or it was our combination of our skills and timing and everything. I guess you never really know. But after first retreat that we did, we already had some people like doing some projects together after traveling together. Even though it was like 5 years ago, we're still in touch with many people from the very first retreat because many of them like have been following us. Where are you guys going? Bali? Ah, okay, I'm there. Mexico, I'm
Mm.
coming. So I guess seeing that, seeing like, oh yeah, we just signed a new budget at work, I was like, okay, interesting, because this signing new budget used to kind of give me joy or some sort of feeling of self assurance or like self confidence, but
It's
somehow
validation, right? You succeeded
validation.
in something.
But at some point, it stopped. And I was
Mm.
like, yeah, I don't care about it anymore. So that was like kind of the little sense of realization here and there that, okay, maybe I do this retreat and it's only 10 people, but I could see how I'm changing their views on something, or like I'm empowering them to do some leap of faith. So I guess that's also when my uh, coaching started, kind of without fully realizing it, just by yeah listening to people, giving them some direction to live their better life.
When do you feel most alive?
uh, I think on my coaching session, I have to say, um yeah, I would say so, because I think I always get out of the session very hyped.
Hmm. I definitely recognize that. Why do you think that is? What about coaching kind of turns you on? Like,
I think for a long time, I already knew that I definitely feel very good when it comes to teaching or a little bit like pushing people. All my life, I saw my friends always coming to me for different advices. Then I very quickly in my jobs always overtook like this onboarding roles or management roles that came very easy to me. But I never put all the pieces of the puzzle together to understand what is my calling in life. So I was just going my own journey. Then it was actually my therapist that were did like pushing me like, oh, you're gonna be such an amazing therapist. Maybe you should try it. Maybe you should learn it. And she was like pushing me and pushing. And I was like, I don't think I wanna be a therapist, because to be honest, the reality of therapists, like people come to you with their problems and they come maybe like with a heavy heart, and you're some sort of like a sponge or a filter that help
mm,
them to go through this period of their life. And I don't see myself being this sponge like all the time. So I've been like thinking about it. Who do I most enjoy conversation with? And it was always the entrepreneurs that they have something about their brain that is like they're creating something from nothing. So that is always the inspiring part. So like combining this versus like who are my audience, that's how it got me to coaching. And coincidentally, the same week or maybe next week after I told my husband, like, I think that's what I want to do is the business coaching, I got a first request from a friend out of nowhere. I didn't tell anyone about it. She just wrote me like, yeah, I'm thinking about starting something of myself. Did you work with the coach? Started asking me questions. And I asked her, do you want to try with me? Like, I'm just about to finish like my certification on this and this. Like, of course, she didn't care about certification because she knew me. But I
yeah.
think that was like, yeah, some sort of a sign, I guess.
Again, I mean, I'm loving the synchronicity, all the overlaps here. So this is lunch number 26, I think, out of 50.
Oh, wow. Oh,
And
more than
it's a
half.
more than half. It's the fourth time I do this process. And every time in my life when I felt lost, when I don't know what to do next, I do 50 lunches. And
Okay.
usually after very few lunches, I start seeing this is exciting, right? A lot of people are talking about this and I feel drawn towards that. And in these areas are not so much for me. So
Is it?
I use the lunches to navigate and figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And this time, after just 5 lunches, everybody says, Ken, you just have to do what you're doing, but for other people. Like you have a process to figure out what to do next. Right? You have these tools, these frameworks that you use. You have these conversations. You have this energy. You should just be a coach and do this for other people.
Okay.
So that was
That's
that was
nice.
that was after 5 of these conversations. And then I spent the next 10 conversations trying to get over my demons. Like, can I charge for this? Am I going to be good enough? Will people find it to be valuable? But having had enough of those conversations, people are like, yes, do it, Ken. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So after 15, I started and I gave myself a challenge. I made a video. It's on my site. I said, I'm going to give myself 30 days to find first paying customer.
Okay. How did
And
that go?
day two, it was signed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So just by like giving that intention and having made that decision internally, like just started working.
Yeah, I think that's always like, I'm not a spiritual person, but I believe that if you send this request to, I don't know what, universe or whatever there is, or like you manifest something, it
Yeah.
comes to you because you create this space for it and you're
Mm.
like internally ready and then it comes. That's why I think it's nice to have these all coincidences that fall into your plate, but are they really coincidences or you manifest things that you want in life?
So I have this saying. I think it's a little different from how other people see luck, but I believe luck exists everywhere always. Luck is everywhere. But you have to be ready to see it and take it and catch it. And if you're not ready, that luck is just going to pass you by. And lucky people are those people who are the most ready, who know what they want and know how to go out and get it.
Yeah, I also believe in luck, and that also I think came from like starting something very young and being not able to recognize yet my skills. I always said like I was lucky, I was in the right time at the right place.
Yeah.
But I think there is always element of luck in everything. Like starting your own thing. I don't know. Imagine starting and then COVID hits and everyone in this like scarcity mindset. That's very hard time to start. So I was lucky that I started before the same
Mm,
way, what if I would be like moving to a new country, but then it would be the country where something major happened. So I was lucky I moved to Germany in that time. So
mm,
definitely there is always element of luck to everything.
mm. You touched on something earlier. I wanted to go back to it because you said that your therapist said you should be a therapist, but you're like, no, I don't want to be the sponge. Maybe I don't want to deal with everybody's problems. How do you see what's the difference in your point of view between a coach and a therapist? What does a coach do versus what does a therapist do?
I think we do a lot of similar things because I also combine the cognitive behavior approach and therapy in my coaching. So there is a lot of similarities for sure. I think it comes to the request that client comes to you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I see the difference because usually when clients come to me, they already have an idea and then
Mm,
they're in some stages of this idea. And they come with a request like either help me create a business plan or help me enter the market. Or maybe I'm struggling with imposter syndrome, which is
mm.
everyone from my clients probably.
Yeah.
But to therapy, what I see, at least like maybe within my circle, mainly people come like, I have a problem with this. Maybe I have a problem with my life. I have a problem with my partner. I have, I don't know, something internal. So they come with this request that is a little bit, if at least at first, because you have to dig through and get to the roots of it. And this not is not always an enjoyable journey. And I think we all know it who did therapy and some, but it's something you want to go through to understand yourself. So I would say the end goal is to understand yourself. My end goal with my coaching is to create like the reality that you want. Okay,
Mm,
this sounds like very cliche. I think we can find better wording. Just like live the yeah, start creating life that you envision for yourself because I
mm.
think that goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship, like building your own thing and yeah, creating something in your head and then suddenly creating it in real world and making this leap like from your head to real world.
I like that a lot. And I think one of the reasons you're probably very good at it is one, you are a empathetic person. You have the skills and abilities as a teacher and a coach, right? You said that you've had that a long time. But you also have the experience, the hands-on experience of building businesses, which a lot of coaches don't. So you're coaching
Yeah.
in an area where you've already kind of lived through it.
I think that's important, and that's when I people ask me something, and I always think like even for myself, and I think that's a good way to select the coach because of course we live in the era where everyone is a coach. a life coach, a love coach, mindset coach. Like everyone calls themselves a coach, which kind of gives a little bit negative connotation to the word coaching, at least from what I see in like digital world and everything. I think the way to select a coach is someone that is already maybe few steps ahead from where you want to get. So someone that has done it. Like if you want to work with someone that's, I don't know, already did an exit from the company, then find a coach that did that. If you want to work with someone that built like family like startup, find someone that did that and learn from them. Like
Hmm.
it's about people mainly learn the best from their own experience. That's how we are built. And like there are many sayings in, I think, every language, how it would be so much better if we could learn from someone else's mistakes.
Hmm.
So that's, I think, the best is to try to find someone that already did what you want to do or where you're heading, and work with that person and learn from them. The same way, like, I don't know, you want to be a writer, you're going to find a published successful writer as your teacher to write, right? You're not going to find someone that never wrote anything. So for
Hmm.
me, that's kind of the main thing, is to, yeah, find someone that has experience.
I think there's something very important in that because a lot of the traditional way to look at coaching is a coach should never give advice. They should just ask smart questions and they should help kind of drag that advice out of you. And there's a lot of good to that, and those questions are important. That kind of the opposite of that is a mentor. And a mentor is like, I've done this before. This is what I would do. But basically, without the question, just kind of tells you what to do based on their experience. I think the best coaches live somewhere in between. They have the tools to ask great questions, but they also have the experience to give direction, or at least know when to give direction.
Exactly. I agree 100% with you. I think people come to you and they want you to tell them what to do. Also, my idea is not to tell them what to do, because I
Mm.
think by if they're the one that come through this thinking journey and they are the one that decided to go that direction, this is how they're gonna stick to this idea. I cannot just say like, yeah, do this. Then they
No, they're
would be like, they will spend half an hour on this and then they get bored and that's it. That's gonna be
not going to
like
own it.
waste of time. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going
By
to own it. And
leading
when it
them
goes
there.
wrong, they're going to blame you. It's like, well, she said.
Exactly. Like, though by leading them there through specific questions, that's how they gonna own this idea. But I think having the experience, it helps me to understand what questions to ask and where to lead them without directly telling them what to do, and
Mm.
allowing them their own learning journey on this. Like, of course, there are some mistakes I can save you from because I did them when I was starting, but there are some realizations you have to do by your own.
Okay, so let's flip it. Let's flip it. You've been coaching longer than me. And this is the part where I'm going to get your advice. So I'm just
Okay.
starting up a coaching business. It's been 6 weeks. I have two clients, 6 week program. And what I'm trying to figure out is because I really truly believe it's valuable and the clients are loving it and I'm getting great feedback. But my biggest struggle is how do I find business? How do I repeatably get new clients to notice me and how do I kind of work with them to have them realize the potential value?
That's a very good question. I think that's what most of coaches or even anyone who works for themselves is constantly like asking themselves and struggling with the same. I think the best advice is first, okay, the best two advices. First, have your niche.
Hmm.
Don't try to cater everyone. Don't try to work with every direction and everyone. And that it's okay that it takes time. I don't think you are already know it. You probably already have the directions that you want to go. Maybe there are still several directions. With the time, you will select one that most speaks to you.
Yep.
So also allow yourself to try this. The beauty of starting something new is that you are at the point where you can try this, and see what speaks to you and where you feel the most comfortable. The second is more about positioning. So position yourself as the most obvious choice in your niche. That's why the first part is the niche. The second
Mm.
part is positioning. But positioning when you don't know the niche yet is very confusing. And I also been through this. When I started coaching, I wanted to work with entrepreneurs, but also I wanted to work with high level managers because I also really like everything that comes to people management and team management. And of course, if I think of first time entrepreneurs is mainly solo entrepreneurs. So the whole team part is not there.
That's
So
later.
I
Yeah.
exactly. And I was trying to kind of build and cater for both and build programs for both. But it's also confusing even for your audience if you think about it. Like you have to create your online positioning and branding in a way when they say, I don't know, first time founder, they think about me, like
Mm.
it cannot be many, many niches because then it's never gonna be associated with just you. So find your niche and then build your positioning on this niche, like catering specific clients.
I like that. So give me an example. And I guess this is an opportunity for you to sell your business. How do you position yourself to your niche?
I say I work with first time founders. So I think this is really my thing that I find the most interesting for me because people are in the beginning of the journey, but obviously everyone is on very different stage of the journey. Everyone has very different vision for their business. And starting out, I was quite sure that all my clients would be like digital. Instead, I also have clients that have actual physical products that they're building. And
Yeah.
that brought me also to learn a lot about different export laws and how things are produced, how many things you have to store in a warehouse to be able to sell fast. This was whole different thing compared to all digital products. And my background is in digital marketing. So I know how digital business works is way easier than when you have to think of physical products, shipment, and all these kind of things and packaging. Like there's so many more things to think about. So it's like you learn anyway as you go along with your clients. But yeah, the way they come to you as a first request is almost never the actual request. It's
Mm.
the same like with therapy. Like when you come and you say, okay, this thing is bothering me, you don't fully understand that what is actually the thing that bothers you. This is also a journey.
It's more of a symptom than a root cause, right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's cool. So let's take away some pain from my journey. I'm 6 weeks
Okay.
in. What are the biggest mistakes that I can be avoiding? Like what mistakes did you make that I shouldn't make?
I think the mistake is not owning what you're doing. So, as you, I think, slightly mentioned, that's okay. Can I charge for what I do? Am I good? Is it like it's not owning of who you are, and that's fine because as you said, you're just 6 weeks in. It's also
Yeah.
takes some time to adopt this new identity as part of yourself. So that's normal. One
Hmm.
thing that a good friend of mine recommended is to practice your introduction. So
Okay.
maybe in front of the mirror, maybe with a friend of yours, but
Right.
have this one line phrase of who you are when you meet people, let's say on networking event, saying
Mm.
like, hi, I'm business coach for first time founders. So that's something, a phrase that you don't have to pull somewhere from back of your head. It has to be like on the front for when you meet a new person. So that's one mistake of not owning. And I think that really helps to have like this ready introduction. Another one I would say have documenting everything early. And that's for pretty much everyone starting their own thing. Start documenting. I always document each session with my client that I can always go back and see like what's the progress, where were the pain points from the beginning, the same way like okay maybe I did this exercise and I saw this huge shift and I write what I observed. So and I do it right after the session while everything is still very clear and vivid. I personally, I guess my tactic is not the best one because I really like to write by pen. So during the session I always write on the side Exactly. And that's something I don't know. I want to find a better solution for because it's okay when I'm home, but when I travel, I can also show you that I have different books that I bring around, and that's not the best. So that's
Hmm.
work in progress. But then I digitalize my notes anyway. So
Yeah.
I find it a little bit extra step in at the moment. But with the time, I'll find a better solution for it. I just think I cannot really type and talk because sometimes people go into deeper things. Of course, it is business coaching, but we also talk a lot about mindset and different personality shifts. So I don't want to lose this moment of connection with the client because we are already online. It's already harder to create this kind of bond, right? I don't
Yeah.
want them to hear me on the keyboard. Instead,
Hmm.
I prefer writing, then I don't even have to look there. But yeah,
It
having
also
like
makes you it also makes you more focused and you're connecting more deeply if you don't put technology in between.
exactly, and it can create some sort of eye contact through the
Yeah.
camera that we
Hmm.
don't want to lose and we want to
Yep.
keep going, and I want my clients to feel comfortable because the questions I ask sometimes they require a bit deeper answers, and for that you have to be in the right mind space.
Okay. So three advice pieces of advice I got from you. One, own it. Two, have an intro statement. And three, start documenting everything.
Yes, I would say start documenting everything so later on you can build systems that work for you. I would say it's not necessary to start building systems right away because that's also what I see with my clients. They think, oh, I'm going to build like a perfect system here. And then they overcomplicate at the very early stage when you're just one person company. There is no need for extra complications because also your time is limited. You
Mm.
only have 24 hours a day. You don't want to go in burnout in 2 months after you started your own thing. So you want to pace yourself and focus your energy on what matters for your business and for you. Like you don't want to try to create like a system of or big company when you're just alone. Systems are important, but they're important to be proportionate to what your business is.
I was head of startups at Google for a couple of years. And during that tenure, I probably coached about 200 startups or 200 founders. My goal was to find the next 100 Spotifys, right?
Mhm.
So I've had that conversation with so many companies. Everybody has an idea, and the first idea is always wrong, right? You are going to pivot many times before you get it right. And still, people spend so much time and effort and money on building something for that original idea. And they fall in love with the idea and they go deeper and deeper into that idea rabbit hole. And
I
then they
think it's
realize, okay,
called loss aversion. When you already invested in something, time, money
yeah.
doesn't matter. It's hard to give up.
What I'm finding now, though, and this is new for me, is with AI, the cost of building has dropped so radically.
Mm.
So right when I wanted to start documenting all of my sessions, very quickly I realized I can just have them transcribed.
Yeah.
So I'll ask permission beforehand. Mostly we'll record videos because I also have video as part of my coaching program. And then immediately after the session, I get a full transcript. I throw that into my second brain, which is like a simple system I built. So it runs locally on my computer. So it's nowhere else. It's just here. And then immediately I have a psychologist analyze the transcript. So I get a coach analysis saying like, these are the things we learned. These are the things that were said. These are the things that weren't said. Right. And then I get a supervisor analysis. So if I had like a super experienced coach sitting behind me and listening to all my conversations, it said, Ken, these are the things you did great. These are the things that maybe not so good.
Hmm.
And I've noticed this pattern over 3 or 4 sessions now. So these are things that you need to work on in your coaching approach. It's like I love how easy it was to implement that super basic structure that forces me to capture and forces me to continue to learn.
Yeah. I think AI is great help in systems and everything. It also comes with some sort of, you have to still filter what AI says. Like, I
Oh yeah.
also like to have a lot of psychological conversations with AI where I describe a thing and then we talk deeper about it. But many times I see it catches something and starts pushing their idea when I see that that's not the cornerstone of the conversation. So I think
Yeah.
AI is great as a assistant, as someone to bounce ideas off, not yet strong as another human. Like
Don't let it take over the thinking. Yeah.
we are not there yet. I see a lot of entrepreneurs. They are like, "Yeah, AI is my co-founder." I'm like, "No, don't do it." AI is like
Hmm.
has a lot of tendencies to hype the ideas that are not real or not feasible, or another human will tell you like a lot of things that you have to be more critical about before pushing these ideas into production or whatever. So I think AI is great tool as long as it remains a tool. It's not
Yeah.
a co-founder.
I like that separation actually. Not a co-founder, but a tool.
Yeah, like I think last week we were recording another podcast for my MBA school. And then we were also talking a lot about AI entrepreneurship. And one of things like from that conversation that really stood out with me, that AI is the one that will give you a lot of great options and enlarge the amount of options that you can come up with. But it's still up to you and your brain to select what is the right option. So
Yeah.
I think we don't want to forget that this is the timeline of decision making. Like you can talk with AI, come up with many options, brainstorm, but in the end, you have to make the decision. You cannot outsource the decision as of where we stand with AI today.
That makes a lot of sense. I have a final line of questions.
Okay.
And that's kind of back to the start again. Like you're doing a lot of things. Like how
Yeah.
many projects do you have going right now?
Well, I have the coliving that is always there, nesting away. I have an online community that we also do more of pop-up experiences that's based remote, and my coaching. And I have some other thing that just came out. Like I got invited to join like the advisory for entrepreneurs on my MBA that I just confirmed, I think, couple of hours ago today. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Quite different things. Yeah.
You seem to be a person that likes to have a lot of things going on at the same time, but you've
I
also
think
had experience with burnout. How do you balance this?
because I learned to prioritize myself. Like all these things are great, but I learned that my work is not everything, which was maybe my mindset when I started my first company, and it kind of grew unexpectedly. And that was like such a big part of my identity. I would give everything to it. Like I would work like crazy. But I think now what I also mentioned in the beginning, like I like my slow mornings. I like to read my book in the morning. I like to journal, to reflect a little bit on the day. I like to have my coffee slow with no rush. Like I learned to prioritize myself, and I learned not to feel guilty when sometimes the day comes and I'm not feeling it. So I feel like I need to go for a walk and listen to podcasts, or I don't know, I need to do laundry in the middle of the day just because I have to switch to something else. So I learned to prioritize myself and not to feel guilty about prioritizing myself and resting. I think we underestimate the rest and productive rest. It has a lot of benefits like for your brain, for recovery. The same way, like you learn it when you start doing sport, that rest days are equally important and is counterproductive to exercise hard every day. The same way, it actually applies to your brain work, but that we don't really learn in school. This.
So we started with life design, we've gone full circle, and we ended with life design. So I think that's probably a good place to stop it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ola, for coming on the show today, for sharing your knowledge and your experience.
Thank you very much. It definitely was very interesting conversation, and I'm very glad to be here and talk about these things that are all very close to my heart, and I'm happy to share.
Amazing. I've got great advice for myself that I'll be integrating directly into my practice. So I'm just going to say thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you around.
My pleasure.